And I'm going to share my screen. Was this the class yesterday that I forgot to share my screen and I did like a 20-minute lecture and nobody saw what I was talking about?
No, it
Okay.
wasn't this one.
Okay. That was kind of funny in retrospect. You'll hear me laugh a lot because basically, rather than getting angry, I'm just learning to laugh a little bit more. And so I chuckle to myself a lot, and on occasion I will explain what I'm laughing about. Okay, so today's presentation, I'm going to talk about hyperlinks. I'm going to talk about hyperlinks on slideshows like this one, and also on your Google site. They're handled in very similar ways. I'm going to talk about internal links and external links. And then I'm going to talk about saving your references. This is very important when you're copying someone else's work. In fact, let me talk about that first. When you're copying someone else's work, like for instance, let's say you want to draw a picture of SpongeBob, it's a good idea to save the file that you're drawing into your Google Drive. And if you don't know how to do that, I can show you how to do that. Also, I want you to save the hyperlink from the file in a Google Doc. And again, I'll demonstrate that as well. When you draw something that someone else has drawn, if you can find out who the original artist is, somewhere on the page, usually at the bottom, you want to give them credit by writing the word after and then put the artist's name. If you can't find the original artist because they're part of a production team or something like that, like on animated movies, you don't know necessarily who the original artist was, but you can reference the movie. So, but when you do these things, when you save the file and also save the hyperlink from where you got the file, that enables you to go back at a later date and compare yours to theirs. And if you missed anything, you can reference it again. So I'm going to escape out of here. And today's the 17th, so I'm going to show you what an internal link looks like. So an internal link, let's call this internal link to page 5. An internal link is when you don't leave the document or the website. So on a Google slideshow, since I want to link this to this page, I'm going to go up here and click the link. And I'm going to click slides in this presentation. And I'm going to go find slide 5. Notice how they're listed here. And sometimes it's a little difficult getting to the right slide. Not sure why it's doing this, but I'm having a difficult time with that, so I'm going to have to figure out why that's not working. Try it again. By the way, mistakes are fine, obviously. As you can see me struggling to get through. Oh, here we go. We got a little bar over here. So slide 5, apply. Since this text is very light, make it darker. Usually this blue, sometimes I use purple. And I also like to bold the text just to make it totally stand out. So the way that now works, okay, so we're on slide 8. We're going to present this. And then when I click this, it's going to go to that other slide. And this was from Wednesday. So I'm going to go back to my index. I'm going to click on today's date. And here's the one that I just created. So that's an example of an internal link. Here's an example of an external link. I'm just going to type in a random cartoon name, SpongeBob. I'm going to go to Images. I want to find a black and white version. So if I go to Tools, Color, Black and White, and let's find him doing something fun. How about that one? So rather than copying this file, excuse me, always go to the website, find the image on that website, which might be difficult on this one because there's a lot of stuff on here. Okay. Flipgrid, magazine, classic, mosaic, sidebar, snapshot. I have no idea how this person has all this stuff on here. Let's find a different one. Let me close this. Let's do this one. Oh, good, this one's on Pinterest. So I'm going to click. The actual reference of this isn't Pinterest necessarily. It's posted on Pinterest, but it's actually somewhere else. What you want to do is you always want to open the image so that it's the only thing on the screen. So I'm going to right mouse click this, save image as, change the name to SpongeBob, put it on my desktop, and save it. But then I want to take one more step by clicking one time up here and copying it. So this copies the address of where I got this image. Then I'm going to type in docs, docs.google.com. Excuse me. I've already created a file, but I'm going to create another one just so you can see the process. So I'm going to go over here to the right and click plus. I'm going to label this references, if I can spell, for period 2. And then I'm going to type in the word SpongeBob. And then I'm going to put link to image. And where it has link to image, I'm going to select this text. And just like we did on the Google Slideshow, I'm going to go up here to the link, and I'm going to paste the link in and click apply. Then I'm going to go to my Google Drive and upload that file that I just downloaded to my computer by clicking File, Upload. I put it on the desktop, and here it is at the top, SpongeBob. So now when I go into my references picture, or my references file, I can insert that image from my Google Drive. And it's the first one there. Since I don't necessarily need it full size, I'm going to reduce it down. I'm holding the Shift key down when I reduce something so that it doesn't mess up the proportions. You don't want to squeeze your image like this. So always, whenever you're scaling something, hold the Shift key down and drag it from one of the corners, and it won't skew the image or warp the image. So the other thing I'm going to do in my Google Slideshow, to do an external link to, oops, still has bold on. External. And then I'm going to put SpongeBob. And the text should be black, except if it's a hyperlink. So again, I'm going to select this text. I'm going to go back here where I got this original image from and copy this again, just to make sure I have it the right one on the clipboard. Then I'm going to go back to my slideshow. The text is already selected. I'm going to bold it, change it to blue, and add the hyperlink. See how long this link is? See all that text? You don't want to have all of that on this page. So instead, you just have the word with the hyperlink attached to it, and then you don't have to worry about all of those long website addresses. So I'm going to go one step further and put SpongeBob on here. Insert image, drive, should be the first one. Double click. One other cool thing you can do if you want to is I can select this and copy this link, and then I can click on the image and put the link to the image also. So now I've got the link twice. I've got it here and I've got it here. So that when I present it, whether I click here or here, it's going to go to the reference where I got it from. And once again, here's the reason why we do this. We want to give credit, and we want to know where we got the image from. So I saved it not only to a Google Doc, but I also saved it. I saved the file in my drive. I saved it to the Google Doc, but I also saved it here on my slide. So I talked about hyperlinks, slides. You can also put these same types of hyperlinks in your Google site. So I'm going to go to sites.google.com. I'm going to go to one of my websites. I've created a couple of these just to use as examples. What I want you to think about is on every single page that you have that has images, so for instance, for this portfolio page, I don't have one for Daily Doodle yet, so I'm going to add a page for Daily Doodles. And since I don't want Daily Doodles at the top of the screen up here, I'm going to click one time here. Then I'm going to click and drag it into projects. So that now the Daily Doodles is underneath projects. I also don't like the text stacked here, so I'm going to click on this and pull these handlebars out to the right and to the left. That will center the text in this big area up here. So as I said, for every single one of your pages, your portfolio page, your projects page is going to be a little bit different, but your Daily Doodles page for sure, we want to put a slideshow in here called Daily Doodles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Insert. I'm going to scroll down until I get to Slides. And then I'm going to find my Daily Doodles. It's going to import that slideshow into my Google site. So I'm going to stretch this out to the right to make it really large. And let me show you this too, because this is something I would like you to add to your web page. Down at the bottom where it says Add Footer, I'm going to add Updated September 17th, 2020. Then I'm going to click right here and tell it to center stack that so that it's in the middle. And every time when you update your web page, I want you to change the footer to whatever date is that you did the work. That way, when I check out your websites this Friday and Saturday, I can give you credit for the work you've done. So I'm going to remember to always publish. Click Publish again. And then down here at the bottom, click View. So here's one of the coolest things about the way Google Sites and Google Slides works together. This is a slideshow embedded in my website. If I go down here to go full screen, now I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard to go back and forth to show the different slides. But here's where it really gets fun and cool. Whenever you update and add images to your Google Slides, make sure to always change this on your Google site. But as I was saying, the coolest thing about this is, since I did a drawing today, I'm going to go to Daily Doodles and notice my little pun here. Remember how I've told you to use a student? Well, I made up this name, Andrew Student. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a page. But since I don't want to retype everything on here, I'm going to tell it to duplicate the slide. So what I did was I right mouse clicked here and I'm going to click duplicate the slide. I'm going to change this to the 17th. Then I'm going to delete these. All I did was I clicked one time here, and then I held the shift key down and clicked here so that I can delete more than one thing at a time. Then I'm going to insert image from my Google Drive. And I should have today's Daily Doodle, so I'm going to do this one and these two and insert. Okay, obviously I didn't crop these yet. Normally I crop them before I upload them. But that's okay, because in Google Slides you can crop your images like this. If you click an image, notice how the menu changed right here. If you click an image, click this tool right here. Notice how the cursor changed here at the bottom. When it gets to this one, I can pull this up and crop it. And I can do the same thing for the other two. So as I said, I prefer to do this type of cropping on my phone, for instance, because that's where I took these pictures from or using. But you can do it in Google Slides as well. And you can also do it similarly in Google Sites. So I'm just going to trim them as close as possible to the tops and bottoms of each one of these images. And then I'm going to scale them all at the same time so that they're all about the same size. This one could be a little bit bigger. Again, I'm holding the shift key down when I do this. And if you notice, this person's kind of encroaching on this person's frame. I'm not concerned about that at all, because I'm drawing them all on the same piece of paper. And as if you watch the video, you'll hear me mention that maybe this person's saying goodbye to the person next to him. So I'm just continuing to crop them down. You can also sort of tell the way I think when I draw, especially when I'm drawing multiple characters. I start thinking of, excuse me, I start thinking of storylines. So for instance, the theme, if you will, of this week has become a day at the beach. So since I want these three things to be about the same size, notice those red lines, those are lining up with the other two things on here. So I'm going to put a little space between them. I'm going to select all three by holding the shift key down. And then I'm going to scale all three of them at the same time by holding the shift key down again and moving them to, like this, to the right. Now here's where it gets really fun, as far as I'm concerned. Since I've updated this, I really don't have to save anything. I can close this image or this file. I'm going to go back to my Daily Doodles page on my website. And when I click the forward button, there's actually no drawing on here yet. You have to refresh your screen. Now I haven't edited anything in Google Sites, but I'm going to refresh my screen by holding the control key down and tapping the letter R. So that now when I go full screen on this, I can tap forward on my daily doodles. This is yesterday's and this is today's. So it automatically updated the Google slideshow on my Google site. I'm going to tap the escape key to get out of this. I'm going to close this window and this one and get back to our slides. Oh, okay, so we talked about slides. We talked about hyperlinks. Hyperlinks work the same on Google Sites as they do on slides. So whether you're doing an image like this inserted YouTube video from today's Daily Doodle, this is a link to my YouTube page that is also linked here. And once again, an internal link is something that goes to another place on the same presentation, or an internal link here would be an internal link on your web page goes to another page on your web page. So for instance, where it says About Me, if you click this, it goes to my About Me page on this website, which is trojanart.com. An external link would be an example of, even though this presentation exists in my Google Drive, it's technically an external link because it'll present here. Let me click the full screen so you can see what I'm talking about. I can present it here, but it's actually outside of the website. Here's another one. Entering an authenticated Zoom meeting on a Chromebook. So if you ever forget how to do this, here's a YouTube video that one of our other teachers at Clark Middle School created, and you can watch this video. And just like Google Slides, if you go over here to the right, you can click full screen. So once again, this is a full screen YouTube video embedded in my Google site and presented full screen, just like this Google slideshow. And here's another example here. This is a Google slideshow with today's daily doodle embedded in the slideshow, embedded in the whole Google site. You can start to see the power of building a web page like this. So once again, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I have given you a ton of information today. This meeting has been recorded. So if you don't have any questions, if you understand what my expectations are for today, which is to start playing around with hyperlinks on your Google Slides and also on your Google site, as well as creating a Google slideshow for your daily doodles and also a slideshow for your any projects that you have. We haven't really done any projects yet, but that's coming next week. So if you don't have any questions, and if you have said hello in the chat, you have my permission to log off. And as soon as everyone's gone, I will record this or send this recording to my YouTube channel and put it on Google Classroom sometime today. So does anyone have any questions? Oh, another picture. Let's go full screen. Let's see, how can I do that? Oops, that didn't work. Show it again. Oh my gosh, what's that?
It's from an anime show called Demon Slayer.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I will be posting this today probably.
Okay, so
in my website.
here's what I want you to do. I want you to create a slideshow, and I want you to call it Other Artwork, because I didn't assign that. It's very cool, and I definitely want to see it. So every time, so we're going to have a web page on your Google site. One of your pages is going to say Other Art, okay? So anything that I didn't assign, or if you want to call it extra credit or extra whatever, I just put Other Art because I think it's the quickest way to describe it, because it wasn't assigned, but I definitely want to see it, and that looks very cool. I'm really excited to see that on your web page. So once again, take a picture of it, put it on a Google slideshow called Other Art, go to your website, create a web page called Other Art, and you can put that page underneath your projects. Okay, and I showed you how to do that today on the video. Very cool.